Yo, what's good everyone? Infamous Legacy here, back at it again with another Marvel's Avengers gear guide video. You guys already know the vibes. I told you guys I was going to put out gear guide videos for every gear set that's currently in the game for all your favorite heroes. So here is the Discordant gear set for Black Panther. And with the pieces that I'm about to showcase to you guys can get these pieces from either the Elite Discordant Sound Raid. There are a couple pieces that you can only get from that version of the raid, or you can get the other gear pieces from the regular raid and Corrupted Vibranium event. So let's go ahead and have a look at these gear pieces from the Discordant gear set for Black Panther and show you guys what are the best gear pieces to aim for when you're running the raid or the Corrupted Vibranium event with Black Panther. So let's get it. First off is the heroic piece. So the heroic piece is pretty good for Black Panther if you get these type of stats and these type of perks on it. It's really great for a melee Black Panther build especially. I got this with Bass Percussive Blast. If you guys are not aware of what Percussive Blast is, that is Black Panther's intrinsic overcharge. So right here, when you double tap the right trigger, he activates Percussive Blast. And the perk right here, enemies hit with Percussive Blast will actually receive the mark of Bass. Those marked enemies will take increased damage from all sources. And if you combine it with the second perk, granting Melee Breaker, while sending the Sonic Conduit buff to other heroes, the sender, which is yourself, the melee damage is increased by 30%. Preferably, you definitely want to make sure you get Valor and Might on this. All these gear pieces can also come with Resilience, so keep that in mind if you want more defense. So I got it with Valor, Might, and Resilience. Great melee heroic piece right here. In the game, there is better gear pieces that you guys can get for the heroic slot for Black Panther. So again, with this entire video, it's just breaking down to you guys the best gear pieces to farm for from the Discordant gear set. So here is the heroic piece. And if you guys are not aware of what Sonic Conduit is, I will leave a link in the description talking more about the Sonic Conduit. There is a page that you guys can actually check out, and there's a full breakdown of how the Sonic Conduit works. Moving on to the defensive slot. I got this with Valor and Precision from the Elite Raid. Also forgot to mention I got this piece from the Elite Raid too, but this can also probably be dropped in the regular raid or even the Corrupted Vibranium event. But preferably, for better odds of getting something like this, it probably does drop more so in the Elite Raid. Now with the defensive slot, I also got this from the Elite Raid. I got Valor and Precision. Definitely would want Might, Valor, and Precision on this for all-around build, or Might and Valor, because those are two types of builds that I like using for Black Panther. Comes with Kamoyo Beads immunity, so your support heroic ability recovery beads have a 19% chance to intercept an incoming damage and completely negating the attack. And then I have Reverberation Breaker. Reverberation Breaker is very popular on the defensive slot for all heroes from the Discordant gear set. Reverberation Breaker inflicts 25% additional damage to enemies that have an active Vibranium status effect. So this piece is really good, especially when people are using Vibranium payloads on their hero or they're using Vibranium attacks. You'll be able to do additional 25% damage onto those enemies. So definitely recommend getting this for a melee build. Even if you're going with the range build, you can also go for something like this as well. Now the range piece. This range piece is, I would say, the second best gear piece to aim for when it comes to Black Panther. Reason being is, you want to make sure you can get Precision, Valor, and Might, and you get Thoughtless buff, and Devastating Daggers and Kinetic Daggers either deal Vibranium or Sonic status effect. So if you're not aware, let's go to skills right here. When you use Devastating Daggers, each dagger that will hit an enemy will actually debuff the enemy to take more increased melee damage. And you can stack the debuff about 3 times, so about 3 Devastating Daggers. So that really helps when you're fighting bosses, for example. So if you throw your daggers first, then you'll debuff that enemy, then you'll go into your melee attacks. And then we have kinetic daggers, which is over here. Where is it? Oh, it's part of the heavy combo finisher actually. So kinetic daggers like this, or even kinetic pulse attacks like this. We'll use kinetic daggers, and that'll obviously apply that status effect. I prefer not to use Campinga daggers as a second perk. If you do end up getting this with Campinga daggers, honestly it's not worth it. Just because devastating daggers and kinetic daggers are probably the best combination that you can get as a second perk. That's what you will want to aim for. And with the melee and the range piece for Black Panther, they do drop with only Vibranium or Sonic status effect. And then going back to the range piece, Thoughtless buff. Thoughtless buff basically gives you a damage buff after you do a melee critical attack. It has a 22% chance. So activating this does happen pretty often, especially if you're doing a lot of melee combos. So Thoughtless buff is a must. So the best perk out of this gear piece is Thoughtless buff, especially for a melee build. So when you are using those melee attacks, you'll activate your damage buff, and then you'll be able to do more damage. I got this with Precision, Valor, and Might. You guys can get this from the Elite Raid, the regular raid, or the Corrupted Vibranium event. The Corrupted Vibranium event might be the best way to get it, just because of those objectives. When you complete it, you probably have a better chance of getting these type of pieces, because when you're running the raid or the Elite Raid, you do have to go all the way to the end of the mission and beat Claw to get drops like this. And obviously the Precision, Valor, and Might is good for an all-around build, so that was a plus for me. I like making my Black Panther with the all-around setup instead of, like, let's just say Precision and Valor. If I do get a like Might and Valor, that's also good because that's strictly melee, but I like to be all-around with my Black Panther build, so Precision, Valor, and Might. Now this piece right here is probably the best gear piece that you guys can get for Black Panther. It only comes from the Elite Raid, and it can either come with Sonic status effect or Vibranium status effect, and it can also come with either heavy combo finishers or power attacks. I got this with light combo finishers and signature attacks. That is actually very useful for my melee Black Panther build, just because it takes advantage of your light intrinsic attacks like this, Energy Kick, and then also attacks like this, Kinetic Slam, which is a very popular one that a lot of people use on their Black Panther melee builds. And then if you're doing heavy combo finishers, it will be attacks like this, and then power attacks will be your Pounce attack. But the reason why this gear piece is good is because you are looking at the first perk and the last perk as being the best perks for this particular gear piece. Percussive Blast Destruction, 20% increased stun status and overall damage while Percussive Blast is active. So when you activate your Intrinsic Overcharge, you'll have a 20% increased stun status and overall damage while that Percussive Blast is active. And that really goes well with this Heroic piece, surprisingly, because when you activate your Percussive Blast with the Heroic piece again, you're marking those enemies that are hit by Percussive Blast, and they're taking increased damage from all types of attacks. So technically with the Discordant gear set, you guys can actually use all the gear pieces to make a build. However, again, I mentioned it a lot, since this is just a gear guide video, I'm just showcasing to you guys the best gear pieces to use or to farm for each hero. So I've explained the first perk. Let's go to the last perk, Relentless Traversal Amplifier. This is really good because getting this perk and also Percussive Blast Destruction is actually very rare. So getting certain perks on these gear pieces is going to take you time. It took me a long time to get this because I was trying to get Percussive Blast Destruction and Relentless Traversal Amplifier together with the light combo finishers and signature attacks. And I'm still trying to get the Vibranium version of this instead of the Sonic, because I kind of want that Vibranium. So then I can probably switch my artifact right here, for example, because this artifact is also pretty good. Just jumping into this real quickly. I know I was talking about the melee piece, but this artifact comes from the regular raid, Corrupted Vibranium event, Elite raid, has a lethal Vibranium Conduit, but also has a faultless Vibranium payload. So when you do a melee critical attack, you will activate a Vibranium payload. Combine that with your Sonic melee attack. So when you apply that Vibranium payload, that'll create a status effect. You do Sonic melee attacks, you'll basically trigger a battery damage effect. So when you take a cold status like Sonic, and then a warm status like a Vibranium payload or a Vibranium status effect, combine those together, you guys will actually be doing some more damage than just, let's say, using Sonic only. So, and again, this is pretty good to get. Preferably, I would recommend running the Corrupted Vibranium event to get minor artifacts from the raid, because any minor artifact that you want from the raid, Corrupted Vibranium event is the best way to go to get those artifacts. Going back to the melee piece, like I mentioned, this only comes from the Elite raid. I got it with Valor and Might and Resilience. So make sure you do aim for that. I also got another version, so I did mention the heavy and power attacks. Here is a Precision and Valor version. Obviously, it's not beneficial with Precision and Valor, just because it deals with heavy combo finishers and melee power attacks. So for a melee build, aim for Vibranium status or even Sonic if you're using a Vibranium payload, with light combo finishers, signature attacks, with Percussive Blast and Relentless Traversal Amplifier. So I showcased to you guys the best gear pieces that you guys can get for Black Panther from the Discord gear set that drops in the regular raid. Some pieces, for example, the melee piece, drop from the Elite raid. And then also Corrupted Vibranium event drops the regular raid gear pieces as well. The best gear piece to aim for first, if you're running the Elite raid especially, is the melee slot. Second will be the range slot because of the Faultless buff and Devastating Daggers and the Kinetic Daggers. You can get this with any status effect like I said. Then the third will be the defensive slot, Reverberation Breaker. If you don't have it with Chamoil Bead's immunity, it's all good. Reverberation Breaker also works. As you guys can see, I have another one right here. I got this from the Corrupted Vibranium event. This only came with Reverberation Breaker, but it came with Valor and Might, so I actually use this one more. But if you're able to get this with Valor and Might for your melee build, or Valor, Might, and Precision, it really works as well. So this will be the third piece. And then the heroic slot, I'll probably say this will be the last piece to aim for. Just because if you're making a Black Panther melee build, there are other heroic pieces in the game that will be benefiting you more, combined with these other pieces to do more damage or to just make your build better. Alright everyone, so that's the end of that big breakdown on Black Panther's best gear pieces from the Discord gear set that you guys again can farm through the raid or the Corrupted Vibranium event. If you guys do want to see a crazy Black Panther build, I'm going to put a link in the description to my boy Hoff. So Hoff is a Black Panther god when it comes to his melee builds and even his range builds, or even any type of Black Panther build you want. Hoff is the man. So I'll put a link in the description to his channel. Make sure you check him out, because I'm telling you, this dude right here has been doing some crazy things with Black Panther that you guys cannot even imagine of. And if you want to see some crazy damage, make sure you check that video out that you see on his channel. So if you do have any questions now regarding this video about the gear pieces that you can get for Black Panther from the Discord gear set, let me know in the comments below. More Gear Guide videos on the way for other heroes as well. Until next time, I'm out. You guys take care. Peace.